Hey guys, Merry Christmas and welcome back to a brand new review of my Doctor Who marathon. Last time we did the review on the Underwater Minutes, which I'm finally relieved of because that was just a so stressful review to do. Anyway, today's review is morely a much enjoyable review because I'm so excited to be reviewing a brilliant Cybermen story today. And so today's review is the Moonbase. And so I absolutely adore the Moonbase to bits. It's just a magnificent Cyberman story. It's superb with superb Cybermen. I'm going to be telling you everything about this story. The Cybermen, the animation, the plot holes, the plot lines, the characters, the settings, everything to do with the whole story itself, the Moonbase. And so let's get into the review of the Moonbase by Kid Peddler. Just to say, he is a magnificent writer. He wrote this so single-handedly and he did a magnificent job on writing this story. I think he's the best writer for writing the best Cyberman stories of all time. So, in the year 2070 to be precise, not 2017, Earth's weather is controlled with ease from the moon. When the TARDIS arrives at the Moonbase, the Doctor, along with his friends Polly, Ben and Jamie, is accused of starting a plague that is killing off the base crew. It's not long, however, before the time travelers discover the true cause of the deaths, a powerful, unstoppable race that the Doctor have met before, the Cybermen. Now that backstory really got me into the mood of watching this story, and I can tell you right now, I am a massive fan of this story, and I know many people out there would say that this is one of the best Cyberman stories of all time. It's just so creepy, so dark and so atmospheric. It just really builds up so much suspense when it comes to getting the Cybermen into the actual story. Episode 1, I have to say, is just the creepiest. Although it doesn't exist in, the actual world, but however, if you remember a couple of videos ago, well, I think it's probably a month ago now, if you remember my top 5 animation stories of all time, you will probably remember that I actually rate the Moonbase at the number 2nd spot as one of the best animations of all time. And yeah, the animation is just spot on. You can see the animation team, they just paid so much to detail, paid so much attention towards the characters, the settings, and the whole thing itself. They completely paid so much time and effort into this animation and made this so suitable for this whole story, making it so brilliant, and just loads of people really love the animation. I personally am a big fan of the animation. Sadly, could have made the top 1 because I know Power of the Daleks is at the top spot because it has more animated episodes. But with this one, I definitely have to agree that the animation is just sublime, really brilliant. And so, I have to say that episode 1, as I said again, very creepy, very dark, so atmospheric. I think episode 1 was the introduction of how it brought so much suspense of bringing the Cybermen into the whole story. You had so many shadows lurking around, a flying saucer landed on the moon's surface, looking around, and in the store cupboards you can see all the shadows lurking around, and it just really freaks you out, really. I really got so scared of looking at all those shadows, and the most darkest moment in episode 1, which I have to say, is where Ralph and Ben completely searched in the storeroom, checking the food supply and stuff like that, and then he completely got distracted by something lurking in the dark, and I completely saw a Cyberman shadow. I thought, oh! Like, those kind of moments really creep me out, and just those dark moments just really scare you for so many reasons. It's just unbelievably scary. So yeah, this story does create a base under siege feel, like you're trapped in the Moonbase. How did the Cybermen get in the first place? And those kind of moments really intrigue you, like how did they get in the first place? Did they cut their way into the Moonbase? Did they use space helmets and stuff like that? I don't know, but actually I do know. The Cybermen did cut their way into the Moonbase, but they dug up from above and cut their way through the storeroom, contaminated the food supply, and so that's how the crew member got infected with the space plague. That's how they all came down with it, and so they really had no idea how this space plane got into the base in the first place. They thought that it was Ben, Jamie and Polly and the Doctor who brought it into the whole Moonbase, but no, it was actually the Cybermen who contaminated the food supplier, and so that really had an impact on the crew members. And I saw in episode 2 where the Doctor was trying to inspect and examine all of the items that could be a part or go along with this whole plague infection, and he found absolutely nothing. But when he kind of suspected that not everybody takes sugar when drinking coffee, then that's the key. Sugar is the actual thing that people love on this planet, and it's just so irresistible. Some people don't like it in coffee, some people do, and that's how the crew members got infected with the sugar. Not everyone takes it, and so that became the main cause of this plague infection, with all the lines over the hand, and it's a virus that causes a nerve breakdown of all in the body, which causes all of the hands to have all their lines on their fingers and hands. Just so, a really great moment just to see the Doctor being at work and using his scientific knowledge font. And as I said in the last video, where in this story, Patrick Troughton becomes very, very serious. He's more attention to detail because he cannot, believe that this, that body just disappeared from just under the table. I think it was in episode 1 where Dr. Evans completely died from the space plague, and the Doctor covered up with a blanket. Then Mr. Hopkins, a brilliant character, I'll explain more, he actually came into the room and whipped over the cloth and saw the body was actually gone, disappeared. And like, how was that possible? The body couldn't have just vanished, and he was just completely gobsmacked. And just one of those moments where you think that, oh yeah, the body's just over there, but no, it's just absolutely gone. Just completely vanishes into thin air. And just, wow, those moments just really creep you out, and just certainly creeps me out. Alright, let's move on to the characters. I think since I mentioned Mr. Hopkins and also the other crew members, they also have a big role to play in this whole story as well, because I really do believe that every single character in this story has a part to play in. Polly's more useful in this. Ben and Jamie, well, Jamie's more out cold for most of the episodes 1 and 2, because he has a injury that he needs to rest and stuff. But Ben was fantastic in all episodes. He really became more the heroic figure, risking, to saving someone's life from a Cyberman that got, and so he was really, really great in this, and so had a great, personality about him, which really sets off and really annoyed most of the crew members. But he never gave up his job and his role of, trusting and respecting the Doctor, which I admire from Ben. So Mr. Hopkins, he was more the guy in charge who took control of every situation on the weather base and completely controlled the weather with his other crew members and scientists helping out and everything. Some person were doing working on the gravitron, some people working on some of the more of the digital kind of stuff. One person was working on radio, and so everybody had a part to play in it, which in most stories many people just feel left out when they don't have a part to play in the entire story, which in this story everybody plays a part, and I feel like that since everybody gets involved, they're doing what they do and they have a point to prove, and so that's what I like. So Mr. Hopkins, for instance, he completely despises and disbelieves that the Cybermen have infected the base, or something has invaded the base and caused this space plague. He completely oversees things and completely goes to another opinion that these people have caused and brought the plague into the whole base. And so he really goes into a second option, not actually thinking properly about who has actually caused this plague infection in the first place. And so he just basically misses out a lot of things. Everybody's giving him so many suggestions, but instead he's not taking those suggestions and going with his own suggestions that he has in mind. And so that's his character basis. Really doesn't pay attention to anybody's perspectives, but he just thinks that he's right and he's right only. But then when he meets the Doctor, he also has and sort of he gets annoyed by him because the Doctor interferes and just maybe he doesn't trust the Doctor at all. But then in the 4th and 3rd episode where the Cybermen get invaded, he sort of has a personality swap where he basically trusts the Doctor because the Doctor has encountered the Cybermen before and knows the plan, whereas Mr. Hopkins, he's more wanted to trust the Doctor in order to eliminate these Cybermen, and so he does really trust the Doctor in the end. Just looking how we're good for time. So let's talk about something else now, the plot lines. The plot lines were really, really great. I think the whole plot line where the Cybermen were trying to, you know, invade the base, coming through the storeroom and contaminating the food supply, causing the space plague and stuff like that. So we talked about that already. And so the whole plot line of how the Cybermen wanted to control the Earth and eliminate all dangers was very fascinating, and was a great idea in how to eliminate all dangers upon the Earth by messing around with the climate controls on the weather, completely moving and changing the climate all around the world, causing a disturbance in the whole global weather distribution, and causing so much panic and destruction on the Earth, and therefore that will kill everybody on the Earth. And so really that completely was the plan, where the Cybermen really wanted to eliminate all the dangers. There were some dark moments, I have to say. I think some of the best moments were the cliffhangers. I think episode 2 cliffhanger was the most scariest, the most intimidating one. I quite, you know, felt, oh no, oh gosh, they're in trouble now. Like those kind of moments I really do like. I think most of the cliffhangers, it has to have a good impact on what's going to happen next. And episode 2 definitely did that, when basically the Doctor was trying to figure out how the Cybermen get in the first place. And so he kind of said like this. He said just looked around all the base, every looking corner. Nobody, you know, possibly, you know, hiding, chancing in this. And so he would said to Mr. Hopkins, did your men search in here? And Mr. Hopkins was like, no, nobody searched in here. And then that was the main point. Nobody searched in the medical unit. And so do you know where the Cybermen hid? Yes, in the medical unit, under the covers, pretending to be dead bodies. To be patients. And so that really, you know, tricked the whole crew members and the Doctor himself. And when he turned around very suspiciously and saw the boots of the Cybermen on the patient's, you know, board or like a bench or something, or when the patients were lying, he completely oh gosh, they've been hiding here all this time. And that was just one of those moments which I felt, oh my gosh, they've been sleeping in here all this time and stuff, oh my gosh. And so those moments really just creep me out. Oh wow. Speaking of the Cybermen, these Cybermen are more threatening than any other Cybermen, I have to say. I love the design on the Cybermen on the front cover, but also the design of the Cybermen in the story itself. These Cybermen are just magnificent. The whole design just looks so intricate. They look more intimidating, more menacing towards others, and just they really become a really firm favourite design to many people. Many people may like the modern Doctor Who Cybermen designs, but I personally prefer this Cyberman design because they look more creepier, more dark Cybermen than ever before. So they just look absolutely spectacular. I would have to say that the Cybermen are at their best in this story. They're just completely fantastic. Their voices are just incredible. They're just so dark and so spine-chilling just to listen to the Cybermen. They're just so dark. They're much more dark Cybermen than any other Cybermen. Apart from that, I like the Wheel in Space Cybermen because they're also dark and very creepy as well, which I also quite like. But these Cybermen, they're just brilliant. Just really adore the Moonbase so much. I could be saying loads of great things about this story, but I just can't think of any negatives about this story at all. I would even have to say that I don't even think that the setting is absolutely rubbish at all. The setting is just brilliant. Episode 1 and episode 3, where you can see the whole moon itself, looks so realistic, whereas episode 2 and 4, it doesn't really look as, you know, the proper moon itself. It looks like more of a replica, but very bad padded one. I don't personally think it looks terribly that bad, but that's what they had to use in the end when they had to film the Moonbase in those times. They had to use what they had, and so really job on how to create a really good replica of the whole Moonbase. So it was really great just to see that kind of setting design. Also, speaking along with the plot holes and stuff like that, I just think that the plot lines just really set into the mood in the whole story. Just really sets in perfectly. And also, I love some fascinating scenes in episode 3 where the Doctor, for once, was trying to think of a way on why the Cybermen used the humans in the first place in order to control them, in order for them to use the humans as pets or as, you know, robots or, you know, slaves really, to do the work for them and using the gravitron and stuff. And so Patrick Troughton was thinking to himself, which he never did this in any other Doctor Who story. He did thinking to himself really out loud, funny. there must be something that Cybermen don't like in here, so why are they getting all the humans to do all the work? And so there must be something here that Cybermen don't like at all. And so he was like searching around like, pressure, electricity, radiation. And then so he came across gravity. Now there's a thought, gravity. And just that little moment where the Doctor completely saw through everything on, you know, all of the other elements that the Cybermen didn't like at all. Gravity was the one element that Cybermen didn't like at all. I even noticed it in episode 3 where Benson, I think, was trying to check on the aerial outside on the Moonbase and completely saw, and in the background was a Cyberman shadow, and I automatically realised that Benson, you need to get out there soon, you know, get back inside as soon as possible because there's a Cyberman out there, and he doesn't know that at all. But then when he turns around and sees that the Cyberman is holding a gun at him, I almost thought he was actually going to shoot him so dead. But no, the gun actually didn't work at all. It just didn't work in there's no atmosphere there. And so Benson completely ran off for his whole life. Coming back to the whole gravity bit, Benson really was walking as in like the moon had less gravity, and so he was walking as in like jumping up and down, like very like in sort of a moonwalk almost. But the Cybermen, they were completely walking so still as like humans would walk on the earth as a normal day. And so that was really a point where the Cybermen, they just hated gravity. And I pointed to mine to Patrick Troy in the final episode, where we were trying to think of a way on how to, you know, get rid of the Cybermen once and for all by using the gravitron and making sure that the gravitron can be aimed on the barrel and bear on the surface of the earth to affect the Cybermen's movements. And so with the Cybermen being affected to gravity, they get floated away and high into space, and they just get disappeared. And so that is just a brilliant way on just getting rid of the Cybermen, trying to eliminate all of their own weaknesses and finding the one thing that they completely hate. And that was one idea that I absolutely loved about that story. That was really great by Patrick Tron. As I said again, he's a more serious Doctor in this story. He completely thinks about the Cybermen and their weaknesses and everything to do with them. Just brilliance. And so I really have to say that this story is just a magnificent story. Many people would have to say that they even rate Tomb of the Cybermen over this story. Well, I would have to say that many people would have to say that Tomb of the Cybermen may beat this, although I personally think that this one might even beat Tomb of the Cybermen because this one's much more darker and has lesser people within the whole, you know, well, it does have loads of scientists and stuff, but with no cyber controller at all, this just makes it so dark and so very atmospheric, and just it builds up to so much suspense and bringing the Cybermen into the whole story. It's just so well thought out by Kid Pedler, who I said again is an amazing writer. And so let's do a summary of what we've learned so far about the Moonbase. So the Cybermen, they are absolutely brilliant. The design, the acting, the way of, working inside the Moonbase and how infecting and using this, the humans as slaves to do their own little dirty work and how to infect and control the whole weather system was really a great idea. Patrick Trowan is just absolutely at his best in this. And also Polly, Ben and Jamie, they all have their parts to play in the story, and I absolutely like that everybody has a part to play in the whole story, which is just brilliant. The characters, again, Mr. Hopkins, Benson and all the other characters do a fantastic job on doing their job properly and making sure that Cybermen don't get into the base and infect the whole crew members. So they really worked so under pressure, but they did it so well. And then the whole plot lines, the whole story was really fantastic. And just the whole story itself, and also the animation, I have to include the animation. Just spot on, superb animation. I can't say anything much about this whole story at all. I just absolutely love it, the bits. And so, to my rating, I would have to give this a 9.9 out of 10. It's just absolutely fabulous. You may be thinking, why not rate it so high? But, I would rate it so high, but you know what? I think a 9.9 is really, really high. And so that's my viewpoint on it. And so I have to say that the Moonbase is just one of my favourite Cyberman stories of all time in Doctor Who. Just really a magnificent story. Anyway guys, thanks for watching for this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do give a like to this video, and also please comment down below on your viewpoints on the Moonbase. Personally, I love it a bit, and I know everyone out there, you should love it too as well. And I should definitely point out that you should definitely recommend to buy this story. Absolutely, you should definitely buy this DVD. Although the animation may not be up to your standards, but for me, I love the animation, just so perfect. And so guys, thanks for watching. Please also hit that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. It would be really great. And so guys, this will be the final video that I'll be doing until the review of the return of Dr. Mysterio. And so guys, thanks for watching, and I wish you everyone a Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching, guys.